G'day footy fans and welcome to Boothy's AFL Dream Team Fantasy Podcast. Today I'm looking at Carlton Football Club. Carlton played a JLT game today and the following is what I would recommend in terms of players to pick from Carlton in your team or prospective players from Carlton. So Bryce Gibbs, if you want a really solid M1 or M2 and potential captain, 22 matches last year, all of them, 27 disposals per game and 18 goals. So a proven goal kicker, one per game almost, and a consistent gun. Cade Simpson or Sam Docherty, you could throw a blanket over both of those defenders. Very similar statistically, same price as you can see. You'd choose one or the other as your D1. Docherty's a lot younger and might have some upside, but Simpson looked great in the JLT one today, certainly. Mark Murphy, very cheap because he only played 10 games last year and in one of those games scored a very low score, which brought his average down by 5 or 10. So you could argue that he's a plus 10 straight away on that. So he's priced at around 80 points, and obviously I believe he'll probably average 90 or possibly more. And he's priced at 482, so could be an M5 or M6 in your team. He's obviously been a gun in the past and averaged over 100 a few times. Still a very good player. Matthew Cruiser impressed me. He played all but one game last year, and with Andrew Phillips, the other ruckman who played 16 games last year and shared the role with Cruiser, with him on the long-term injury list at the moment, and Garinge injuring himself today, and McKay, in my view, the young ruckman, not being quite ready for AFL after what I saw, I think Cruiser is a standalone ruckman who looks fit, and as I said, played almost every game last year, is up and running. I think he could be a really handy ruckman to pick, and probably will improve on his $431,000 price tag, and could get up to $500,000 or more this year on the back of being the sole ruckman at the club. Kicked 7 goals last year, which is not bad, 1 in 3, but as I said, looks fitter at the moment and might end up rucking pretty much on his own. So have a think about that one. Caleb Marchbank's been around for 2 years at GWS, played 7 matches over those 2 years, only 2 last year, but 11 possessions already per game. Very good for a young defender. Priced at the very cheap price of $205,000 as a D5 or 6. And as I said, he's versatile, and he got 85 points today in JLT1 to prove that it could be a really handy pickup as a cheap defender. And the other one I liked is Charlie Curnow. 6 games last year, a goal a game almost, 10 disposals per game, but looked fantastic today. And I think he ended up with 16 or 17 disposals from memory. Was in the midfield a little bit and up forward, but he looks talented. And although I don't talk up second-year players that often, this guy at Carlton, given Carlton's predicament at the moment and probably need to put blood the youngsters a bit more, I think he'll get lots of opportunities and he looks very classy. So at a team like Carlton, I think he's probably worth considering as a 237 forward 5 or forward 6, depending on how you want to structure your team. 2 players to consider probably as an upgrade target. In other words, they're too expensive at the moment, in my opinion. So Ed Curnow is priced at $614,000, which is very expensive. He would be an M2. I wouldn't consider picking him now, but if he drops down in price a little bit through injury or whatever, and maybe later on you want to pick him up when he's cheaper or after Carlton's buy, if he's at the right price, and I wouldn't pick him up unless he was about the 550 mark, so he'd have to drop a little bit. And Patrick Cripps, coming off a major injury in November and hasn't played a game yet, had an interrupted pre-season. I know he's a gun, cost $601,000. I think he's fantastic, but I wouldn't be picking him for round 1. I think it's a risk. Again, he might start off slowly and you might be able to pick him up later in the year, maybe after a few rounds, maybe after their bye. But Patrick Cripps will be fantastic, but not in round 1. I think he needs a bit more time before he can get those 100 scores that he needs to be worth $601,000. But potentially could be a captain for your team down the track. So they are the 7 players from Carlton to consider. Personally, I might, think Docherty, Murphy, maybe a Marchbank even, depending on JLT 2 and 3 coming up. Keep an eye on those. And there's some options from Carlton for 2017. So please subscribe to me or like me, and there'll be another podcast tomorrow. Bye for now.